take Sergeant Bergdahl. Does anybody remember that name? So we get a traitor named Bergdahl, a dirty, rotten traitor, and you don't even hear about him anymore.
There's Donald Trump calling Sergeant Bo Bergdahl a dirty, rotten traitor and asking what happened to Bergdahl. We haven't heard much about him recently. Bergdahl's attorney was none too pleased, though, with Trump's comments, saying, quote, "This is the lowest kind of demagoguery. Mr. Trump's comments are contemptible and un-American. They are a call for mob justice." He added that Trump deserves a defamation lawsuit. Meantime, politicians have questioned the president's motivations behind the swap, which traded Bergdahl for the Taliban 5. Here's House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Ed Royce.
I think, deep down, that the only thing driving this is the impetus to close Guantanamo Bay and fulfill a campaign pledge.
Is that what's really going on here? Chairman Royce isn't the only one asking questions. There are also some questions about the man who was charged with bringing Bergdahl home. Newsweek asked why the FBI is trying to bury a Special Forces hero. A man named Lieutenant Colonel Jason Amrine was once part of the first group of soldiers into Afghanistan. Since then, he has been working at the Pentagon, part of the team who was charged with bringing Bergdahl home. And he came up with a strategy to secure Bergdahl's release, and a deal much better than the one a lot of folks say the president got. But it was allegedly ignored and lost in a bureaucratic maze inside Washington, D.C. And joining right now is David Eberhart. He is the author of the Elephant Man Petition. He's also a former contributing editor here at Newsmax. David, it's great to have you with us. I wanted to talk to you because you were also a former Judge Advocate General for the Marine Corps, and get your legal take on this matter here. This is the Newsweek piece talking about Amrine, the lieutenant colonel that is in question here. This past January, Amrine worked at the Pentagon, until this past January, he worked at the Pentagon. He had also reached out to Representative Duncan Hunter, a former Marine, to kind of deal with the bureaucratic issues he was running into on the Bergdahl issue. When Bergdahl was finally released in that trade for the Taliban 5, according to Newsweek, Hunter had complained that a far better deal was brokered by Amrine, but it was ignored, and worse still, 6 Western civilians, including 2 Canadians and a newborn child, were left behind, held by terrorist groups, protected by the Pakistani government. Of course, Canada is a key ally in the war on terror. Do you believe what Chairman Royce said, that there is more to this, that the Bergdahl swap was part of the effort to close Guantanamo Bay?
Well, who can say? I can say this about the poor lieutenant colonel who has been besmirched and called a whistleblower. He's publicly condemned that, and he said, all I've done is my duty. And I have to agree with him 100%, because when you swear, when you enter the Marine Corps, for instance, in my case, or when you enter the Army, you swear to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States and obey the orders of all superiors. And what was going on, the trade that Obama brokered between the U.S. and this group in a foreign country was a treaty.
Yeah.
No one seems to want to call it a treaty, but it was a treaty. The treaties under the Constitution must be approved by Congress.
In this case, it was not.
And it was not. Now, the lieutenant colonel was put between a rock and a hard place, because he had a duty. He was on the team to get Bergdahl back, but he also had a duty to the Constitution to let the Congress know that the Constitution was being tampered with.
Well, I encourage everybody to check out that article and read more about that story, because it's fascinating. But I also want to talk about your book, the Elephant Man Petition. Yes, we do. That's why you're here. Talk to me about what motivated you to write this book.
That's not what you're supposed to say. You're supposed to say what motivated you to do this project.
Oh, that's right, because you say it was a big project.
It is a big project, and it's all about the war on terror and concepts that people have not thought about. The Elephant Man Petition, I would be holding a copy right now, but if I can tell you a real quick anecdote about why I don't have it. I was on my way out the door to get ready for this trip down here, and I realized I didn't have my book, so I ran upstairs and got my book.
We have the graphic we can put up on screen so folks can take a look at it.
Anyway, the concierge said, "Dave, is that your new book?" I said, "Yeah."
There it is right there.
Well, son of a gun, you guys technical.
Well,
technical.
Dave, we only have about a minute until our next commercial break, so I wanted to give you a chance to talk a little bit more about it. I know there are a couple main characters in the book: the Elephant Man Petition, the guy who is on trial, and his defense attorney. Out of all the characters in the book, though, which one do you think the reader can identify with the most?
Well, I hate to say it, but the Elephant Man. I think we all have, sub rosa, visions of our true inner selves. It's not always pretty. This guy was called the Elephant Man for
obvious reasons.
Obvious reasons. Half his face was gone. But what I told, and if I have a chance to do this,
got about 20 seconds.
20 seconds. The condemned monster on death row is represented by his beautiful former law firm partner. If what she says in a brief to the U.S. Supreme Court is true, the whole way we look at good and evil must change. The so-called ugly and mishapen Elephant Man reaching the end of his stay on death row may not only be innocent, but an unwitting player in a plot to tame all the restless souls on the planet.
Well, folks can get it. Folks can get that book. It's available on Amazon right now. It's called The Elephant Man Petition. David Eberhart, unfortunately, we got to go. Good to see you.